Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you probably know already, Stardom had their much recent New Blood show number 20, featuring many matches, but amongst them is the long awaited match between Tam Nakano and Misa Kagura, which this match was supposed to happen about a month or two ago, and now it's going to happen. But the main event features, of course, the New Blood Tag Team belts, EXV members Hanako and Waka Tsukiyama, better known as Rice or Bread, defend their championships for the second time. However, they will be facing it against a team that they are all too familiarized throughout their personal lives. We're talking about, of course, Cosmic Angels members Yuna Mizumori and Aya Sakura, better known as Sakura Daman. They make their first attempt. And then, of course, we move on with TNA. Battle lines are being drawn now for the next pay-per-view Rebellion, but however, Masha Slimes has to deal with Jay-Z Jane, who attacked her a week ago. And of course, Leon Slater gets a piece of revenge on Nick Bennett for what he did to Matt Hardy and plenty other things as well. And then, of course, we have Ring of Honor featuring many matches, including Lucha Libre wrestlers making their appearance as well. And then, of course, as always, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we could either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all pleasantries have been said. So beam me up, Scotty. So let's begin with our very first review, and this is from Stardom's New Blood. Okay, Stardom New Blood 20. This is their much recent show. Now, for those who are new to the channel, if you're not familiarized with this show, let me explain to you. New Blood is a show that was created to showcase talent who are either on one category. If you're below the ages of 21 and you started out as a teenager, that's you. Basically, like wrestlers such as Hanan and her sisters, the twins Rina and Hina. So those types. And then there's the wrestlers above 21 who only have 3 years of experience, such as Aya Sakura, Sayakurara, Rana Yagami, those types. So that sets up. But they do always have 2 titles, are part of their category are defended. Either the future belt, which we normally see on the regular Stardom shows, and then there's the New Blood tag team belts as well. But of course, every single time in New Blood events, we do see talent from other promotions if they have wrestlers who are in the categories that they fit in, either from Marvelous, Stardom, I mean, not Stardom, I mean the Sendai Girls, or Seedling, wherever they're at, they showcase those young wrestlers into their shows all the time. But sometimes the veteran wrestlers also will make their presence known too on certain occasions, either for debuts or because of storylines they're building up with the rookies. So that sets it up. Now, let's get started with the first match. Our first match we have, of course, is Ane Kanae, who actually made her debut recently in Okinawa, facing off against, of course, Yuna Mizumori. But now she faces against Rina, the former future belt champion. Now, many people, when they said this match, they saw this match, they saw a huge, very impressive way she was showcasing herself, like showing her toughness. I mean, she may look bright and bubbly when you see her running into the ring, but when she's in the ring, she's all business. Like, she was able to handle herself. But however, when it comes to Rina with her experience, that's a different story. Rina is the type of person to show that she's not here to play games. And that's when she applied, of course, the diving double knee drop. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Our next match, we have a very interesting. As you know, the only two rookies we had already after Ane Kanaye is Akira Kurugani and Yuta Him. They both team up with two different wrestlers. Kurugani actually teams up with God's Eye member Tomoka Inaba, and as for Yuri Him, with Cosmic Angels member and of course the winner of the Cinderella tournament, Sayaka Kurara. So basically, you see how these two rookies will do with the much experienced wrestlers. That's always a good showcase to see. But however, in this case, it was in fact Tomoka Inaba with a crossface onto Yurihim to pick up the win. So basically, uh, Tomoka wins the match along with Kurugani. So we'll see how that goes for them. I'm not sure if Kurugani has any considerations of joining God's Eye. And as for Yurihim, I know there are people that say that it's either EXV or Cosmic Angels or somewhere else, but we'll see. Now, our next match, Rian, as you know, she is almost close to her 1 year mark as a wrestler. She teams up once again with Kayone Yonoyama, who last time they teamed up in the tournament for the New Blood Tag Team belts. Well, they face against the former New Blood Tag Team belt champions and the current Goddess of Stardom Tag Team champions, Wingori, Saida, and Hanan from Stars. Now, of course, you would know because we've seen how Ida and Hanan, they have good experience as a tag team. I mean, they have shown what they are made of. However, this match ended with, of course, with Ida applying all her powerhouse, despite of her size, to take out Rian with the lariat, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Our next match, we have a very interesting team from outside of Stardom. Many of you may have seen them. They're also freelancers out from any Yoshi promotion or Japanese wrestling promotion they've ever attended. We have Kageru Sekiguchi and Tai Hamna. They take on God's Eye members Rane Yagami and the current future champion Hina. Now, of course, many of you may know this or not about Tai Hamna. She does have an expertise as a judo expert and, of course, a bit of a martial arts status. I've seen that before because she used to be part of a group known as Joint until one of its members retired and everybody else went their separate ways. But that's always been one of the good things I liked about her. She was able to apply a submission on Yagami and, of course, forcing her to tap out, and just like that, it was over. Our next match, we have the ladies coming from Wave, consistent of Honaka, Saran, and Kohaku, taking on the most disrespectful team and we ever known and the most hateful team, Hate, consistent of Azusa Inaba, Raka, and the current Red Belt champion and the current Regina the Wave champion, Saya Kamitani. Now, of course, you all know the kind of tactics Hate will do. They like to soften their opponents up outside the ring, try to cheat their way through. That's always been their heavy case. However, this case, it was Raka who picked up the win with the refrigerator bomb onto Honoka, and just like that, it was over. However, as you probably can guess, Kamitani, those who know this, she is the Regina the Wave champion. That's a belt that's originally part of the promotion uh, from Pro Wrestling Wave. However, of course, Saya Kamitani likes to gloat about it. But, however, Honoka called her a shitty old hag that she'll be coming for that belt. And I'm sure Saya Kamitani had that one coming because no one has ever called her that name. I mean, I'm sure Rina has been calling people like that. I don't know if she ever called Kamitani that way before she joined Hate. That's the one thing I don't know, but that's very interesting to hear. Now, our next match, this was a match that should have happened either a month or two ago. Misa Kagura and Tam Nakano. Now, those who know this about Tam Nakano, before she became a wrestler, Tam Nakano was part of an underground idol group. And what I did not know at the time when I learned already this is that Misa Kagura was also part of that group as well. So it seems like there's a bit of a history. Now, people often called Misa Kagura as a clone of Tam Nakano. I mean, there are similarities between them, you know, that kind of thing. Uh, but however, in one of the much recent New Blood events, Misa Kagura called out Tam Nakano. And of course, this led to this match. However, this match was supposed to happen in Misa Kagura's stomping ground in GTO, Just Tap Out, but due to some unforeseeable circumstances, she had a high fever and couldn't compete. So Tam Nakano decided to stop by and say hi to GTO fans. However, we did not. I kind of forgot about this match, but it seems like it was back on track. But I think many of you may question how would this match proceed. Well, I have to say, Tam Nakano, as you probably know, there there's she is in that state where, of course, she could easily lose the match against Kamita. And there are wrestlers who want to have this match before she actually, before she it's either forced to retire thanks to Kamitani. But Misa threw everything she had on her. But of course, like always, Tam Nakano picks up the win with the Twilight Dream, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. And then, of course, there was a post match promo between Tam and Misa. I don't know what they said, but it seems like they were willing to put their past behind. But I wouldn't be surprised if Misa told her that she has to win the match against Kamitani next month. So that's something we'll probably see down the future. So until then, we'll just wait. Now for our main event is the New Blood Tag Team belts. Cosmic Angel members Aya Sakura and Yuna Mizumori, also known as Sakura Daman, make their first attempt for the New Blood Tag Team Championships against Waka Tsukiyama and Hanako of EXV, also known as Rice or Bread. Now, those who know this, there's a bit of history between on both sides. Those who know this, Hanako and Aya Sakura made their official appearance in New Blood before the premium event that took place back in March of 2023, introducing themselves. They haven't made their in-ring debut yet. They were part of a batch of wrestlers that were going to make their appearance. There was supposed to be a third one, but I'm not going to talk about her. And then, of course, during the time when they were already rookies, they were dealing with the whole shenanigans with Waka Tsukiyama. You know, Aya called her an annoying senior, and of course, Waka did not like that. Now, you all know that Waka has took part in training both Hanako and Sakura, but we all know what happened. Aya Sakura spent 8 months out of action due to an injury. Hanako had to carry things alone, and then, of course, later that's when the formation of EXV happened. Early in 2024, and Hanako joined Maika, Mina, and Waka, while Aya was still out of action. And of course, Waka must have thought in her mind that she would join EXV, but nope, Aya Sakura joined Cosmic Angels instead. But of course, the history between Aya Sakura and Hanako continued to rage on. But we all know where they went their separate ways. I mean, Hanako is a champion, and so is Aya Sakura. But the real question is, can Aya Sakura become a double champion? I mean, she has put everything that she had to put down the beast. But however, as you all know, Hanako also grown up as well. She applied that submission move that Shinsuke Nakamura taught her during her 1 month excursion here in the States. And that practically became the X factor to win. And of course, during the post match, I'm sure Hanako saw that she has grown up as well. But of course, Yuna Mizumori made it perfectly clear that this is not done yet. That they're not done with the New Blood tag team belts. That they will eventually get uh, get another opportunity. And Aya Sakura agreed, knowing that no matter what, she will become tag team champion because she really wants to do this. So we'll see what happens. So don't know when the next New Blood show will be in, but we do know we do have upcoming Stardom events coming up later on this month and also early next month, I believe. So yeah. So as of right now, we are done with Stardom New Blood. Let's move on with TNA. Okay, TNA. As you probably know, our next pay-per-view event will be Rebellion. Cannot remember when, but it's happening soon. So basically, right now, battle lines are being drawn for that. Now, we opened up with TNA, as you know, the little Chihuahua, who hangs around with, of course, Ash by Elegance and Heather. Well, apparently he was throwing a temper tantrum after the little celebration last week, was interrupted by, of course, the Meta Girls, Spitfire, and of course, Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. However, they put themselves in a non-tournament match against the Elegance, so Dolan and Paxley will get an opportunity to see if they can able to pull it off. However, the match was going great until that little Chihuahua decided to push Tatum Paxley out of the way, and then of course allowing for Ash by Elegance to, of course, do the Swanton. And then, of course, they decide to celebrate by making her the little wish that she's been trying to do last week. Well, Dolan and Paxley decided, let's crash the party. So they did, and they put Ash by Elegance through the fakes to the cake. So basically, they got the last laugh. I mean, Ash by Elegance may have got the win, but Dolan and Paxley gets the last laugh. I wouldn't be surprised if the little Chihuahua and for this is trying to follow a lawsuit. So we'll see what happens from there. Now, our next match, we have First Class, Casey Navarro and AJ Francis teaming up with Frankie Kazarian to take on the Aztec Warriors. Octagon Jr. and Laredo Kid, they team up with Chavo Guerrero. As you all know, this show was in El Paso, Texas, which is, of course, known as Guerrero Country, which is the home of Eddie Guerrero. So you know how that was going to be. Now, for all of you who did not see last week's TNA, Chavo Guerrero was the guest of the First Class Penthouse segment. And of course, Frank Kazarian decided to question, why did you bring this guy around? It turned out, of course, Frank Kazarian has some issues against Chavo Guerrero back in the past. But now it's like, and then, of course, First Class decided to side with Frankie until, of course, the Aztec Wars intervene. But the real question is, who's going to walk out the victor on this one? Well, you would think that some moments AJ Francis or Casey would try to find ways to cheat. Nope, nothing goes according to plan for them now. But it was Chavo who picked up the win, but of course, applying a move that we have seen way too many times, and that is, of course, we saw the three amigos on both Casey Navarro and AJ Francis. But the biggest move is, of course, where Chavo applied the frog splash onto Casey Navarro, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. That's one for the girls right there. Now, as you know, things have gone escalated between Matt Mance Warner and Sammy Callahan. So Santino Morel, along with security, they put both these men in handcuffs. So Santino is trying to find a way to make this thing end peacefully, but apparently this was never going to happen. So Sammy was telling him, either you fire me or you fire him. So things have escalated. Don't know how this thing was going to end. So that's going to be a very interesting to see. Now our next match, JZ Jane versus Masha Slamovich. Those who saw what happened last week, JZ Jane made the cross to TNA from NXT to TNA, making her appearance attacking Masha. But however, in this match, Tessa Blanchard actually was banned from ringside. But however, of course, JZ Jane tried everything in her power to prove her point, but still was not enough against, of course, the Knockouts World Champion until Masha applied the snowplow, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, Tessa Blanchard made an immediate beeline to Masha and attacked her. And then, of course, it became a 2-on-1 beatdown until, of course, Lei Ying Lee and Zaya Brookside showed up to give Masha some backup. So this is not over as we expect. Next up, we have Eric Young versus Ace Austin. If you guys remember what happened, of course, last week we did see the Northern Armory taking on the Rascals, and Ace Austin helped out the Rascals. However, of course, Eric Young, being the veteran that he is, he tried everything humanly possible to win. Even Judas Icarus and Travis Williams tried to help out Eric, but it was not enough. But you know, the old saying goes, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. And Eric Young did that when he applied the power driver. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, before our main event, Joe Hendry made his appearance. As you all know, he is the current TNA World Champion. So he decides to set out. I don't care what promotion you guys are from. He reference from NXT. So he's telling them, give a call to Santino Marella and I'll put my title on the line anytime, any place, any show. However, we did see, of course, Santino Marella. Elijah, my bad. Elijah made his appearance. Now, it seems like he might have been the one who wanted to issue the challenge, but there was like one guy's like, oh, hold on. Hell no, bitch. And that is, of course, Frankie Kazarian, who is, of course, the Call Your Shot Gauntlet winner. As you know, he can call the shot for the TNA World title. And, of course, he decides to get involved in every way possible, but we'll see what happens. I don't know when he'll cash in. He is looking for an excuse to win the cash in and become TNA World Champion. That's something we could definitely see. Now, our next match, this is our main event. We have Nick Meredith versus Leon Slater. Now, remember, Leon Slater and Nick were part of that cage match during Sacrifice, which they won until Nick Meredith viciously attacked, of course, Matt Hardy. Leon Slater, who grew up watching the Hardys, was going to plan to take a measure of revenge for what Nick Meredith did. Now, of course, the match would have won by Leon Slater if it wasn't for he is Nick Meredith's brother. The end. Yep. Him getting involved. And that's exactly what happened until, of course, Nick applied the Death Danger Zone. And just like that, it was over. However, later, of course, they were attempting to give Leon Slater a beatdown until the Hardys made their presence known. Now, of course, this was coming. The Hardys said that they are willing to put them, decided to challenge the Meredith brothers and Rebellion. Now, they never mentioned anything about the TNA World Tag Team belts, but we will see if that becomes a factor. If it does become a factor, then that's something we definitely got to see. So we'll see what happens next week on that part. But for now, we are done with TNA, and we're moving on with, of course, our last and final review, Ring of Honor. Okay, our last review, Ring of Honor. It opened up where you see Athena talking to Diamante. It seems like they were forming some sort of plan, and of course, Billy Starks tried to enter the conversation. But it seems like Athena has no use for Billy Starks anymore, so basically it looked more like she dumped her. Which is sad, of course. You would just look at it that way. So we don't know where that leads us, but we'll see. Now, our first official match, as you know, he was close becoming Ring of Honor World Television Champion, Dark Panther, taking on Okumura, who many of you may have seen him in CML, and of course, he is one half of the MLW World Tag Team Champions with Satoshi Kojima. Well, yes, he made his in-ring debut in Ring of Honor, or was it his? I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So you probably would think this is going to be a good match. However, of course, as Okumura being the most veteran in the match, Dark Panther was able to apply a inside cradle and picked up just like that. So it was over. 1, 2, 3. Done. Now, our next match we have MXM Collection teaming up once again with Johnny TV to take on the Sons of Texas, Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes, and Willie Mack. However, as you probably know, the Sons of Texas had dealt with MXM for the last couple of months when they stole Sammy's belt, So you would think that this is not over between them. But however, Sammy was able to pick up the win on Johnny TV with the GTH, Go to Hell, and that was it. However, as soon as the victory happened, once again, Mason Madden stole Sammy's belt, claiming they are the champions. Bullshit. Basically, they stole it. They're not the champions. They're still claiming they are. I mean, they lost twice to the Sons of Texas. So here we go again with their nonsense. Now, our next match, we have Diamante and Athena. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed in this match, well, they're facing against Jordan Blue and Maserati. Much of the match, Diamante did all the work. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Athena, who claims that she's a fighting champion, well, she let Diamante do all the work. And just like that, as soon as, of course, Diamante took out Maserati, Athena applied the forearm as the final finisher, and just like that, it was over. However, we did not see, of course, the usual shenanigans that we see with Athena towards the end. So, just like that. Our next match, we have the Premier Athletes, Aria Davari and Tony Nese, taking on the Dark Order, Alex Reynolds and Evil Uno. But however, the frat house were there. As you all know, Preston Vance, who has his history towards Dark Order, was there to support, of course, the Premier Athletes. But of course, they had to get involved as soon as, of course, when Dark Order thought they had this match won. But of course, the frat house got to interfere in this match, and this led, of course, for Tony Nese to pick up the win on Dark Order, just like that. Like, they think they are solid victors. No, this was a highway robbery with the help of the frat house. Sooner or later, of course, Dark Order will get their revenge on that. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, during an interview with Renee Paquette, she talked to, of course, QT Marshall. Apparently, QT Marshall threw alcohol in the face of actor Paul Walter Hauser. And of course, QT Marshall decided to be a jackass and spin the story saying, no, I didn't do anything wrong. Yes, you did, bro. You threw up alcohol, which is something he has given up. And then he goes out, he has to issue an apology. Oh, no, I know how this is going to go. Paul Walter Hauser is going to give him a bitch slap. Trust me. He's not going to apologize. It's QT who has to meet the apology. Now, our semi-main event, we have Viva Van taking on Queen Aminata. Of course, Queen Aminata, we have seen what great wrestler she has become. I mean, she has shown what she's capable of. I mean, yes, she had a very bad loss that she had against Julie Hart, but that was only because she got distracted, of course. But she faced against Viva Van. I'm not sure if this will count to get over that, but of course, Queen Aminata was able to pick up the win when she applied a huge nasty kick on the ropes where Viva Van was tied up, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our main event, like I said, if you guys are big fans of Lucha Libre, well, this is it. We have Rugido, Barbaro Calavinario, and of course, Volador Jr. They take on Titan, Fuego, and Atlantis Jr. So anything could happen. I mean, there's a lot of good moments in this match. But this match ended with Atlantis Jr. picking up the win onto Barbaro Cavenero with the frog splash. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So that's pretty much end for our reviews as we speak. So let's move on to our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. Now, as always, let's begin with upcoming events with the promotions. And we have 2 from GCW. As you know, they have this coming weekend with No Compadre in Chicago. We have Isaiah Broner taking on Sam Holloway, who ironically I mentioned him at WWE Evolve this past Wednesday or so. And then, of course, we have the following day, the 30th in St. Louis. We have America's Most Wanted, the GCW Tag Team belt, will be defended. Garbage Daddies will defend their belts against new guys. I don't know who those guys are at all. Now, Scott Edwards has mentioned, of course, 3 upcoming events with Stardom, and the match cards have been mentioned already. Let me pull out the list. The first one is on the 29th of March in Tokorosawa, featuring, of course, Tam Nakano and Sayuri Anu taking on Saya Kamitani and Azusa Inaba. Azumi, Meisera, Suzuki, and Tabata will be taking on Hina, Lady C, Rana Yagami, and Tomoka Inaba. Mayu Iwatani, Hana, and Ida will face off Natsuko Tora, Konami, and Raka. Azuki, Koguma, and Momo Kogo will take on Yuna Mizumori, Aya Sakura, and Sayaka Kurara. Hanako and Waka Sugiyama will take on Miyu Amasaki and Ana Kanaye. Saki Kashima versus Akira Kurigane and versus Rina. Then finally, Maika and Mina Shirakawa taking on Rian and Yuria, him. And then, of course, we have the 30th in Hachioji. Azumi, Meisera, Miyu Amasaki, and Zuzu. They take on Natsuko Tora, Raka, Rina, and Azusa Inaba. Then we have Mina Shirakawa and Waka Tsukiyama taking on Sayaka Mitani and Konami. Then we have Mayu Iwatani, Hanan, and Momo Kogo taking on Saki Kashima, Lady C, and Tomoka Inaba. And then finally we have Hina, Rana Yagami versus Sayaka Kurara and Tabata. Then we have Maika and Rina taking on Aya Sakura and Akira Kurigane. Then finally we have Koguma and versus Yuna Mizumori versus Yuri Him. And then finally Azuki and Saida team up. They face Hanako and Ane Kanagaya. Now, on a note on this particular day, if you guys noticed, the core members of the Cosmic Angels, Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Sayuri Ani, will not be participating in the show due to the fact that they will be taking part of the T-Heart show on that very same day. So, just a friendly reminder. And then finally, on April 2nd in Korakuen Hall, Tam Nakano versus Sayuri Anu. Azumi, Meisera, Miyu Amasaki, and Suzuki taking on Natsuko Tora, Sayaka Mitani, Raka, and Azusa Inaba. Then we have Maika versus Mina Shirakawa, which, of course, many of you should know. This is one of 2 last shows that Mina Shirakawa will participate in Japan before she makes the transition to AEW. Then we have the Future Championship on the line. Hina defends her championship for the first time against CML's very own Tabata. Then we have Mayu Iwatani, Azuki, Saida, Koguma, and Momo Kogo taking on Sayuri Anu. Shuri, Saki Kashima, Lady C, Tomoka Inaba, and Rana Yagami. Then we have Natsupoi, who makes her return, team up with the rookies of Cosmic Angels, Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurara. They take on Hanan, Akira Kurigane, and Yuria Him. Then we have Waka Tsukiyama, Hanako Rian versus Konami, Tekla, and Rina. And then finally we have Yuna Mizumori versus Ane Kanagaya versus Fukigen Dev. So that's pretty much it for Stardom. Now let's keep moving forward. Pro Wrestling Wave has an upcoming event taking place on the 5th of April in, of course, called Kariya Wave Volume 5. This one features, of course, Yuki Miyazuki. She'll be facing as Tam Nakano. Now remember, this is a day before, of course, an Anjo, where Tam Nakano will be making her place, and also the day before, of course, Mina Shirakawa will be having her final match. Wrestling Revolver will have We Did That, their Chicago debut on the 5th of April. They announced the Revolver Remix Championship will be defended. Crash Jackson will defend his belt against Heavyweight Hustle Calvin Tankman. Then we have Defy's Street of Rage on the 13th of April. Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Timothy Thatcher, which I think is going to be one hell of a match. Then we have, of course, House of Glory Isolation on the 25th of April. The tag team belts will be defended. Main event, defend their belts against Sinner and Saint. Then we have the NWA Crockett Cup that takes place on the 17th of May. The NWA World Championship will be defended. Tom Latimer defends his belt against Gore, Gore, Gore. That's right, Rhino. And then, of course, Prestige Wrestling has announced the return of another show they've done, and this one's called the Combat Clash. Now, no a date has been announced or any other information, so stay tuned for that. Now on to some developments. TNA has announced that they signed Maggie Lee, who made her TNA Explosion debut recently, which is not available to watch on TV, but you can see it on their website or anywhere else you watch. Uh, Ring of Honor announcer Bobby Cruz has put it out on his X account that his contract with AW/Ring of Honor will expire this Sunday. However, he did mention that he has signed a new one, so good job, dude. Now, a very interesting development has announced during a press conference at Tokyo Pro Wrestling. Yoshiko Hasegawa has announced that she is graduating from the promotion, but also retiring from pro wrestling on the 8th of July in Shinjuku Face. Now, people were questioning, wasn't she supposed to retire when she made the decision to leave Ganbare Pro? Yes, but looks more like this was her last hoorah before she has to do that. So I would like to say that. Now, this is a very interesting thing. Swerve Strickland spoke about when the PW Wrestling Insider 500, came out. He saw that the name who was at the top of the list, and that was Cody Rhodes. And then, of course, Cody told them that it should have been him. So basically, it's kind of interesting. I mean, Swerve, respects Cody, but Cody felt like Swerve should have been at the top. I mean, I wonder if you guys would agree with that. Do you think he should have been at the top? Who knows, but we'll see. Interesting news about this past Wednesday at AEW Dynamite in the backstage. It appears two names have been mentioned. Josh Matthews, if you guys know who he is, he used to be a former commentator, worked with TNA and WWE in the past. But also on a note here, he is the real-life husband of Madison Rayne, who many of you seen on TNA. Yes, the same one. As you know, she works with AEW too. So, but he wasn't the only one. A familiar name that we haven't heard in years. Perry Saturn. If you guys remember Perry Saturn, he was part of the flock with Raven and part of the Rascals that involved Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, and Eddie Guerrero. That's right. The same Perry Saturn who has that crooked eye. So according to what PW Insider reports, he was at the backstage in AEW Dynamite. So it's interesting to hear. We haven't heard that name in years, which was amazing. Now, many of you may have heard this already. It turns out now it's been 100% confirmed that Momo Watanabe will be out of action. Now, no timetable has been revealed that she is, of course, when she'll be back. But she joined a long line of women who are already injured. Matoi Hamabe, Natsupoi, what's her name? Kiyoka Katsumoto Amisori. So that's pretty much it. So she's the latest one. Now, as you all know, Gail Kim was recently fired from TNA, but I don't know what you guys would feel about this. It seems that JR, good old Jim Ross, said that he would endorse the idea if Tony Khan approached him about his thoughts of hiring Gail Kim. And he said that he would take it if that was the case. Now, I think some of you would say, no, he shouldn't do that. But look, we know Tony Khan will definitely try to hire. I mean, people will say maybe she's totally valuable, but we just don't know what was the extent of the reasons to let her go. We yet to hear from her, but soon, hopefully, we can hear it again. But we'll see. And then finally, Cedric Alexander had two things he had to say that I think many of you may want to hear. And this one, let me pull up my phone for you guys to hear this. Let me pull it up. Here it is. Okay. Now, some of you may know this, that Cedric Alexander back then was part of a group that felt like they should not have disbanded to begin with, thanks to Vince, the Hurt Business, and now we have the Hurt Syndicate in AEW. Now, some of you may think, would he ever join them? Well, this is what he said, and this was he said this during his Chris Van Vliet interview. So they asked him if it would be great to join the Hurt Syndicate in AEW, and his response, 100%. That's a big chapter of my career that I really felt was never fully explored, and I think it would be great to finish that out. So the way it sounds to me, he feels that, how do I say this, what happened in WWE with the Hurt business was an unfinished story, and he wants to finish it out, which is true. Like, we always say, finish the story. We saw that with Cody Rhodes. But he also talked about a very interesting thing, and this is what he said. Now, as you all know, when it comes to WWE, there's always those who are loyal to Vince, those who are loyal to Triple H. And Cedric Alexander said that he is a Paul Heyman guy than a Triple H guy. So I think some of you are like, for real? Yeah, and this is what he also said in Chris Van Vliet as well. There's a point where in my 205 live that Triple H, kind of had the same say in a little bit, and kind of took care of me, but I never really fully Triple H guy. I was more of a Paul Heyman guy when he was writing Raw, and they drafted me out to 205 into Raw, and I was more of a Paul Heyman guy than anything else. Heyman gave me a bunch of little sidebar conversations, this, that, and the other way more than Triple H did. So it seems like he was getting more advice from Paul Heyman than Triple H. Now, he never said anything bad mouth from what he's saying, but I feel like more like Paul Heyman is more of my guy to follow than Triple H. So it would make sense on that. But we'll see. But however, I want to ask you guys, do you think he should go to AEW and finish the story with the Hurt Syndicate? I feel like they should, because from what I'm hearing, people feel like the Hurt business should not have been disbanded. We could have seen more, but now we could see things. But I mean, I would love to see it. Would you guys? Let me know. Leave a comment down below. So right now, we are officially done with everything. Let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do, but I do have some upcoming news updates that I want to put out separately for all of you. That way, I don't get too much done. Try to decompress my brain just a little bit. But we'll see. But as for the next episode, I haven't decided yet. I mean, there's still some Japanese wrestling events I haven't seen yet. And I need to catch up with WXW. There were still some events that happened during the time of the 16 karat gold tournament. So we'll see how that rolls up. But as of right now, I'll say this, that I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.